Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is the Master Wizard Ham, and I'm back with some more Overwatch 2 content. Guys, I am happy, so happy to report that I am finally out of that bronze elo hell. I've actually climbed out of bronze, I've climbed out of silver, I've climbed out of gold, and I'm in platinum now. This all took me about a week and a half. But I wanted to make this video for those people out there who are still stuck down there in bronze, who truly are a good player and just keep getting, bad tank players, bad damage players, and you feel like you're stuck, you can't get out of there. Again, I am not a top 500 player, I'm not a Grandmaster player, so no, I'm not trying to offer you these crazy tips that are going to improve your gameplay, but I do have something those players don't have, and that's I've been stuck in this situation, and I just want to offer you a few tips that I used that came from friends and just I developed over time from being stuck in bronze for so long on how I got out of there. First thing, I started taking accountability for my own gameplay and how my games went. And what I mean by this is I stopped blaming my tank's gameplay and my damage players' gameplay for us losing, because everyone knows if you're down there right now, you can get some very sour tanks and some very bad players that are damaged, and they just can't carry you. And it's very hard to carry as a support player. And if you're having to carry, your damage and your tank to victory, it's rough out there. But you can do it, especially if you are better than your placement has you at currently. You can easily do it. And the first thing you have to do is stop, one, arguing with them in game chat. I still see that happen all the time. And then two, in your own mind, just believe you can do it, block out their horrible gameplay, and do the best that you can do. Because once you start focusing on yourself, you're going to start playing better, you're going to start seeing opportunities in the game pop up that you can do, and you're going to start winning, and you're going to start building off that momentum. And it truly works, guys. I'm not one who's a big believer of think it and it will come true, but in this situation, I mean, it kind of did, because I know I'm a better than a bronze player. Let me just, again, play to the best of my ability. I don't care what my other teams do, and I'm going to support them the best I can, the way I know how to. And it worked, and I climbed out of there. So take that with a grain of salt. Take it as you will. It worked out well for me. My second opinion is, you got to learn each and every support player. I know there's videos of solo climbs. People can be a Mercy or Kiriko or Baptiste or Ana, whatever. And they climb up, from GM or unranked all the way up to GM or bronze all the way up to GM. But you have to remember, guys, those are already GM players or top 500 players that know how to play like that. If you're in bronze, you're probably not that ranking right now for a reason. So it might behoove you to learn the other characters. And it sucks. I know it does. I thoroughly enjoy Kiriko and Mercy, and I wish I could play them every match. But sometimes you have to make those changes. You have to play another support player. For instance, I was on a game. My other healer, support player, who was a great heavy healer, was doing a great job. But my damage and my tank they weren't getting the finishes they needed because of the other supports on the other team. I had to switch Zen for the Discord orb. Threw that on their tank. My team focused it all on that one player, because that's usually what people do when they see purple. Even if you have Ana, throws a poison out. When people see purple, they go crazy. They shoot that person as much as they can because you're supposed to. So I used my Discord orb, and we just slowly started picking off people, and it turned the tide of the match. I'm not saying I turned that tide, but that play with my team, me thinking, okay, what does my team need to do, helped turn, and it brought our team together, and it worked out well. So those are just things you have to think of when picking characters. It's not always about your stats. It's about it should be your team stats. And don't get me wrong, stats do tell a story, especially when it comes to deaths and kills, in my opinion. But it doesn't tell the whole story. You shouldn't be just playing for stats and, oh, I'm a great Lucio player. I'm just going to be this player the whole time. Look at my stats, guys. I don't know why I keep losing. I have more kills than my damage players. Well, maybe your damage players need someone who's a burst healer, because they're, a dive character, so they're diving in the back and they're coming back to you like a Reaper. They need that burst healing. They can't use Lucio's slow healing over time. They're going to be dead, or a tank like that. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be able to switch it up. Again, you can find those characters, 1 or 2 characters that you frequently pick. But if you see a match it's going south, instead of freaking out and saying, "Oh man, look at my stats," like I was talking about earlier, just change your characters, see how it works out. I think this will really help you out. My last piece of advice, which is a little controversial, but just hear me out. Be careful of tips and tricks you see on YouTube and Facebook from these like high ranked people, because these are tips and tricks from top 500, but you got to remember who their supporting cast is around them as well. So if they're playing with the top 500 other tank, or even just a diamond or a grandmaster tank, that tank is going to be way better than the tank you're playing with in bronze, who understands corners, understands positioning better, knows where health packs are at, so you don't have to focus on healing them as much. But you're going to watch those experts tell you, don't be a hill bot, which again, do not be a hill bot as a support player, even though sometimes you kind of have to, but you're not supposed to. I mean, that's why it's called support, not medic or healer, because there's so much more to your utility that you can use. But you have to be mindful of, again, who you're playing with. Your bronze tanks and damage players might expect you to heal more than you really should have to, and that's just the way the game is. It's a team-based game, and if your tank's out in the middle of the damn map every time, not peeking corners, or doesn't go to, like I said, health packs, or doesn't know how to use their, if they have some sort of shield or bubble, they don't know how to use it correctly, they're going to be expecting that healing to be on them nonstop constantly. And you shouldn't have to do it, but you might have to do it. And that's why I love this game, because it's such a team-based game. Even though that does kind of suck, but hey, if you want to climb out of bronze, you got to learn how to play with those bronze players, those bronze characters. So just be careful of the tips and tricks you do receive from those, YouTube people. And again, I'm not saying don't watch them, because they offer more advice and better advice than I could ever offer. But just be careful how you implement it into your gameplay as a low rank person. You can take away a lot of their key information, but don't follow their, formula to a T on how they climb, because everyone has to, find their own way to climb, especially everything's so situational with your team if you're not in a squad already. But that's all I have to say about that, guys. You can make it out of there. You will make it out of there. I mean, in the end, if you really are a good player, your skill rank will eventually rise up, and you will, start having games go your way and teammates that go your way. But I feel your pain if you're stuck in there right now. I mean, I'm telling you, I won out of 11 games, so it was at 2 ranking systems, because it's best out of 5 or 4 losses, or it was right before I got my second ranking, but I won 9 games out of 11, or there's 9 games out of 12. I had a draw on 1, so I only lost 2 games out of 12 games. And I moved up once from bronze 5 to bronze 4. I'm telling you, getting out of like bronze 4 and 5 took forever. I just don't know if it's because my skill rank was so low and I trashed it or what. But you can do it, guys. Just put the time into it. I mean, I'm not a heavy gamer. I do have a schedule that I play with, but I still have a family and work. If I can get out of it, you guys can too. Don't lose motivation. Just keep the grind, and if worse comes to worse, hopefully at least you're having fun with this game. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for you. Please, if you liked the video, drop a like, support small streamers, and have a great week. Master Wizard Ham out, and keep those trolls underneath the bridge.